Hello everyone, I am Dr. Ranjit Pawar presenting this video on the topic of the basic concept of RDBMS. We have studied some basic key phrases in earlier videos, that is data, database management system. So data is a collection of values or information for a given purpose. Database is an organized collection of related data. DBMS is an application that allows us to efficiently retrieve and manage this data. And we have seen the examples, that is MS SQL, MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, etc. Then the question is, what is RDBMS? A relational database management system is a database management system based on the relational model induced by EF code. And relational model data is stored in relations, that is tables, and is represented in the form of tuples, that is row. Here in this video, you will get clear idea of basics of RDBMS. The learning outcome is to understand basic concepts of RDBMS. At the end of this video, you will be able to learn what is RDBMS, then the course 12 rules to define DBMS as RDBMS, basic terms in RDBMS like table, tuple, attributes, domain of an attribute. The keys in RDBMS like super key, candidate key, primary key, etc. A relational database organizes data into tables which can be linked based on data common to each. This capability enables you to retrieve an entire new table from data in one or more tables with a single query. It also allows you to better understand the relationship among all available data and to gain new insights for making better decisions. RDBMS is used to manage relational databases. Relational databases are the most commonly used databases these days. A relational database has the following major components: table, record or tuple, field, column name or an attribute, domain of an attribute, instance of a relation, schema of a relation, and keys. E.F. Codd was a computer scientist who invented the relational model for database management. Based on relational model, the relational databases was created. Codd proposed 12 rule, popularly known as Codd's 12 rule, to test DBMS concept against his relational model. Codd's rule actually define what quality a DBMS requires in order to become a relational database management system. Till now, there is hardly any commercial product that follow all that 12 Codd's rule. Even Oracle follow only 8.5 out of 12. The Codd's rules are as follow. Rule number 1, that is information rule. All information is to be represented as stored data in a cell of tables. The row and columns have to be strictly unordered. Rule number 2, guaranteed access. Each unique piece of data should be accessible by table name, primary key, and the attributes. Rule number 3, systematic treatment of a null. Null has several meanings. It can mean missing data, not applicable, or no value. It should be handled consistently. Also, the primary key must not be null. Your expression on null must give the null value. Rule 4, active online catalog. Database dictionary is a structured description of the complete database and it must be stored online. The catalog must be governed by the same rules as the rest of the database. The same query language should be used on catalog as used to query database. In Rule 5, powerful and well-structured language. One, well-structured language must be there to provide all manners of access to the data stored in databases. Example, SQL, if the database allows access to the data without the use of this language, then that is a violation. Rule number 6, view updation rule. All the views that are theoretically updatable should be updatable by the system as well. Rule number 7, relational level operation. There must be insert, delete, update operations at each level of relations. Set operations like union, intersection, and minus should also be supported. Rule number 8, physical data independence. The physical storage of data should not matter to the system. If, say, some file supporting table is renamed or moved from one disk to another, it should not affect the application. Rule number 9, logical data independence. If there is a change in a logical structure of a database, the user view of the data should not change. Say, if a table is split into tables, a new view should give the result as a join of two tables. This rule is the most difficult to satisfy. Rule number 10, that is integrity independence. The database should be able to enforce its own integrity rather than using other programs. Key and check constraints, trigger, etc. should be stored in data dictionary. This will also make RDBMS independent of front end. Rule number 11, that is distribution independence. A database should work properly regardless of its distribution across a network. Even if a database is geographically distributed with data stored in pieces, the end user should get an impression that it is stored at the same place. This lays the foundation of distributed databases. And rule number 12, that is non-supervision rule. If low-level access is allowed to the system, it should not be able to subvert or bypass integrity rules to change the data. This can be achieved by some sort of locking or encryption. Relational model represents how data is stored in relational databases. A relational database stores data in the form of relations that are tables. A table is a collection of data represented in rows and columns. Each table has a name in database. For example, the given table student stores the information of student in database. Consider a relation student with attributes roll number, name, address, and age as shown in a given table. Then attributes are the properties that define a relation. The above table student has the four attributes: roll number, name, address, and age. Attributes can be called as fields or columns in a table. Tuple, a single entry in a table is called as a tuple or a record or a row. A tuple in a table represents a set of related data. For example, the above student table has 5 tuples, records or rows. One record of a Bharat is highlighted and this is called as a tuple. A relation schema describes the structure of relation with the name of the relation, its attributes and their names and the type. Here is the schema of customer product sales. In this, customer, manufacturer, product, order item are the entities with their attributes and their relationship with other entities. Broadly, we can say database schema is overall schema of a database. For relational schema, every entity becomes its own table and every single valued attribute is a column within that table. The data stored in database at a particular moment of time is called instance of database. The data stored in database table at a particular moment of a time is called instance of that table. Or we can say the set of tuples of a relation at a particular instance of time is called a relation instance. Database schema defines the attributes in a table. The value of these attributes at the moment of time is called instance of that database table. For example, let's say we have a single table student in the database. Today, the table has 6 records. So, today the instance of that database has 6 records as shown in a figure. Then, the domain of an attribute. When an attribute is defined in a relation, it is defined to hold only a certain type of values, which is known as attribute domain. A domain of an attribute is a set of permitted values for an attribute in a table. For example, a domain of month of year can accept January, February up to December as a values. A domain of dates can accept all possible valid dates, etc. We specify domain of attributes while creating a table. An attribute cannot access values that are outside of their domains. For example, in the above table, that is student, the roll number field has integer domain, so that field cannot accept values that are not integers. For example, roll number cannot has the values like first as a string or 10.11 that is a real number, etc. Now, let's understand the concept of keys in RDBMS. Key plays an important role in relational databases. It is used to identify unique rows from a table. It also establishes relationship among tables. Here are some reasons for using the keys in RDBMS system. The first reason is keys help you to identify any row of a data in a table. In real-world application, a table could contain thousands of records. Moreover, the record could be duplicated. Keys ensure that you can uniquely identify a table record despite these challenges. The second one allows you to establish a relationship between and identify the relation between tables. And third one, it will help you to enforce identity and integrity in the relationship. There are types of keys in database management system. There are mainly 6 different types of keys in RDBMS or DBMS, and each key has its different functionality. The first key, that is super key. Super key is a group of single or multiple keys which identifies rows in a table. A primary key is a column or group of columns in a table that uniquely identify every row in that table. A candidate key is a set of attributes that uniquely identify tuples or rows in a table. Candidate key is a super key with no repeated attributes. Alternate key is a column or group of columns in a table that uniquely identify every row in that table. Foreign key is a column that creates a relationship between two tables. The purpose of foreign key is to maintain data integrity and allow navigation between two different instances of an entity. Then the last one, that is composite key, has two or more attributes that allows you to uniquely recognize a specified record. It is possible that each column may not be unique by itself within the database. So let us see each key concept with example in next part of the video. Let's see the first key, that is super key. Super key is a set of an attribute which can uniquely identify a tuple. Super key is a superset of candidate keys. In the above example, employee table, the name of two employees can be same. So alone employee name can't be used to uniquely identify the record in an employee table. But their EMP number can't be the same. Hence, the combination of can also be a key. The super key would be employee number, the composite key, that is employee name and address, and employee name and birth date. So these are the three different keys, and that set is called as a super key. For department table, the super key is a set of department number and department name and location in a combination that can be used as a key to uniquely identify a record in a department table. The primary key is a column or group of columns in a table that uniquely identify every row in that table. The primary key can't be duplicated, meaning the same value can't appear more than once in the table. A table cannot have more than one primary key. A primary key should be minimal. It should not contain unnecessary attributes. The key points about the primary key are: the primary key cannot have the null value. Each table can have only one primary key. By default, the primary key is clustered index, and data in the database table is physically organized in the sequence of clustered index. Primary key can be related to another tables as a foreign key. The value in the primary key column can never be modified or updated if any foreign key refers to that primary key. The following example, stud ID is a primary key. Roll number is also the unique for student, so it can be the primary key, but in this example, stud ID is defined as a primary key as only one primary key is allowed. The next key is candidate key. A candidate key is an attribute or set of attribute which can uniquely identify a tuple. Candidate key is a minimal super key. Candidate key is a super key that no repeated attributes. A primary key should be selected from the candidate keys. Every table must have at least a single candidate key. A table can have multiple candidate keys but only single primary key. There are some properties with the candidate key. It must contain unique values. The candidate key may have multiple attributes. It must contain null values. It should contain minimum fields to ensure uniqueness, and uniquely identify each record in a table. For example, in the given table, stud ID, roll number, and email are the candidate keys, which help us to uniquely identify the student record in that table. The next key is alternate key. If any table has more than one candidate key, then after choosing a primary key from those candidate key, the rest of candidate keys are known as alternate key of that table. Alternate keys are the column or group of columns in that table that uniquely identify every row in that table. A table can have multiple choices for the primary key, but only one can be set as a primary key. All the keys which are not primary key are called the alternate keys. In this table, student ID, roll number, and email are qualified to become a primary key. But since student ID is a primary key, roll number and email becomes the alternate keys. Now let's see a composite key. A composite key is a combination of two or more columns that uniquely identify a record in a table. The combination of columns guarantees uniqueness, though individually uniqueness is not guaranteed. Hence, they are combined to uniquely identify a records in a table. In this example, name and address can't be the primary keys as it does not uniquely identify a record. However, a composite key of name and address could be used as it uniquely identified a record in a table. The next important key, that is foreign key. Foreign key is a column that creates a relationship between two tables. Foreign keys are the column of a table which are used to point to the primary key of the another table. The purpose of foreign key is to maintain data integrity and allow navigation between two different instances of an entity. It acts as a cross-reference between two tables as it references the primary key of another table. When we want to implement the relationship between two tables, then we use a concept of foreign key. It is also known as referential integrity. As we see in the example, in a company, every employee works in a specific department. An employee and department are two different entities. So we can't store the information of department in employee table. That's why we link these two tables through a primary key of one table. We add a primary key of a department table, that is department number, as a new attribute in an employee table. Now, in an employee table, the department number is a foreign key and both tables are related. Now let's see comparison between primary key and foreign key. Primary key helps to uniquely identify a record in a table. The foreign key is a field in the table that is the primary key of another table. Primary key never accepts null values, but the foreign key accepts multiple null values. The primary key is clustered index and data in the DBMS table are physically organized in the sequence of the clustered index. A foreign key cannot automatically create an index, clustered or non-clustered. However, you can manually create an index on the foreign keys. You can have a single primary key in a table, but in case of foreign key, you can have multiple foreign keys in a one table. So this is all about differences between the primary key and the foreign key.